And hello, art friends. Welcome back. Happy Monday. We're back again. Finally on the regular night. Everything's back to normal, so it's good. Traveled last week and got a lot of stuff done. Got to see a lot of family. Had a blast. But it's good to be back and back in the swing of things. So here we are on Monday night again. Back on the Lighthouse painting tonight, which will be good. Got a bunch of stuff to show you too, so that'll be fun too. That's all I got. So, all right, let's get to it, and we'll get to it. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Mr. Tim, yes. Back at the regular time, so that's good. Put this here so you guys can see that. And that. Okay. So I figure I'll just do some show and tell first before we jump into the painting. Here is where the Nubble Lighthouse painting is at right now. So I did a lot during the week on this. So it's flying. Hey, Indy, what's happening? And Juan, what's going on? Oh, it's Paula. So I've done a lot on this painting over the last week, but last week was really busy with commissions, and I got a bunch of stuff, another couple big commissions coming up. So I really want to get this done because it's been hanging around too long. Dave, what's going on? Mark. So first of all, tonight is brought to you by Brewdog, which is in Canal Winchester in Ohio. So this is Hazy Jane. So Pat, thanks, man. So cheers to everyone. Oh, that's wonderful. All right. So let me show you before we jump into this, I want to show you Gerald's painting in a second, because I've been working on the frames too since last week. Last week I basically cut a whole bunch of frames and got everything set up to frame. I don't have my dad's workshop back in Massachusetts is where I do all my woodworking, or I was doing all my woodworking. So it was nice to get back there because I was able to make a bunch of frames. So that I did that, and I'll show you kind of where I'm going with that in a second. So Bryant, what's happening? So if you haven't, if you missed last week, the Lamborghini, little Lamborghini painting, that was up for raffle was won by Jerry Colazzo. So that was really cool. So that was good. It was a good experience for me. I think doing these little raffles are going to be kind of a neat thing, kind of a win for everyone. I can do these paintings. You guys get an original painting, but like in Jerry's case, Jerry bought 3 tickets. So he spent $3 and got a real painting. So the idea for me is it's a win for me, one, because I get to give you guys these paintings, but two, if it really takes off, then there'll be hopefully a lot of tickets sold, and then it makes it worth it for me too. So I think it's going to be a win for everyone. So this one here, the tornado, I finished, and this is up on the website right now at stephenleahy.com. So if you haven't been over there yet, there's the stephenleahy.com. So I set up a special department essentially for these. It's just called 4x3x2. So you can search out when I get more up there. This one's up there now, but I'll hopefully have a few of them up there. So that's I'll try to get a whole bunch of these 3x4s on there eventually, but that's the way they're going. If you guys have suggestions for these little 3x4s, let me know, because I'll be just doing all kinds of things. And the next one after the tornado, actually I'm going to try to have a bunch of them, but the one I'm working on now is going to be a rose, which is a little bit different than the cars and the bikes and everything, so that'll be fun. But I'll have a whole bunch of different things up there. Enzo, what's going on? What's going on, Red? Jeff, what's happening? So that's going on right now. Like I said, I'd love to have half a dozen, 12-ish of those little paintings up at any given time. And the raffle duration, I think, is going to be about 2 weeks. That gives everyone a chance to get in on each one of the paintings that they want to. That's good. Okay, frames. So you guys know how I do these things. I'm going to zoom you guys in. This is the painting of Commercial Street in Provincetown. And for anyone who's familiar with my work, I've been doing a lot of this, kind of keying the background to the painting. This is down on Cape Cod, which is basically it's a peninsula. If you're not familiar with it, it's a big peninsula off of Massachusetts, and it's basically all beach. And at the very, very end of it, it's a real eclectic town, and lots of art goes on there, and it's a blast. So anyway, this is a painting from the basically Commercial Street, the main drag in Provincetown. No pun intended. So what I do is when I do a beach painting like this, I'll usually grab the sand or something, the keys in with the painting, and that's how it works. And these frames are all, frames are all custom. So I wanted to do something like this for Gerald's painting, but I had some things I had to kind of work on to get it to work. So Gerald's painting, I wanted sand in the background. I'm grabbing it for you now. So this is about half done now. So this is where the Gerald painting is now for the frame. So I wanted sand in the background. I wanted a wood from Central America. So those were the requirements for this. So what I chose for Gerald's frame, this is Honduras mahogany. And Honduras mahogany is one of the mahoganies that are actually sustainable right now. Brazilian mahogany and mahogany from Cuba are unavailable, and they're beautiful and everything, but a lot of weird stuff going on, especially, well, for Brazil, a lot of the exports became illegal. I think for Cuba, it's just a sustainability thing. They just didn't have enough trees to warrant the demand. But Honduras still supplies mahogany, so that's what I got. So this is all finished now. The wood is all finished, and the frame is all made. But to give you an idea, this is how this frame started. This is actually a piece of the mahogany that I got. I got a couple pieces, and this is how they start. So I plane them and cut all the rails and shape them, and then sand the absolute crap out of them until they and finish them till they look like that. So. Yeah, see, Dave, that's the beauty of it. There is nothing on this, but I started using True Oil, which is a gunstock oil, but it has no color, so I can't really zoom out from here. Marjorie, she's upstairs. So there's no stain on this at all. That's what's so beautiful about this, and that's why I love using these really nice hardwoods. Give me 2 seconds. I'll show you another one that I'm working on. So Brazil does supply cherry still. So this frame here is the frame for the New York painting, for the painting that Through Emily's Eyes, the one the prints are available for. This wood is beautiful. It's a little bit deeper orange color, a little bit tighter grain than the mahogany, but it is fantastic. So this is the frame for the New York painting. I'll show you this during the week. I should have it all finished, this one all finished and ready to go. But, it starts off the same way. This was a slab of wood and ended up, cutting it all up and doing all that. But yeah, this is Brazilian cherry. It's just amazing. It's got gold leaf on it. Let's take care of that after. And the other one, so the painting I did, Death of a Salesman, the painting of my old shop, this is the frame for that. And this one is, there we go, Patagonian rosewood, which is another just beautiful wood. This is highly grained, but again, there's no stain on this. This is just how it looks when you finish it with an oil or a clear stain. So that's going to be the Death of a Salesman painting. What's great is too, I can't wait to show you guys. So I have gravel or asphalt from Boston that I grabbed last summer when I knew I was going to be doing this painting, and for the New York painting, I have asphalt from Chris Garcia from Fifth Avenue, New York. So I'm psyched to show you guys that one. Those are going to be great. All right, so back to this one. So I wanted the sand in the background. I obviously want Gerald's painting front and center, so there it is. This frame is a little bit bigger than the one I sent to him. I think the frame that I sent him in my painting was only 8 by 8. This is 10 by 10, so it's a little bit bigger. Gives it a little bit. Hey, Wendy. Gives it a little bit more breathing room. But what I wanted to do is Gerald wrote this great note on the back of this painting. And normally what happens is like this. They're attached to a block, and then, you know, the back is solid. It's wood, so you can't see anything, right? So I didn't want that for this. So I started thinking about it. And what I ended up doing, instead of wood for the background of this, I chose Lexan. So by masking off the center of the Lexan, I was able to still see the back and his great note that he wrote to me. So that's a PVC block. I do that, you know, to kind of raise the painting up off the edge. So I still have some stuff to do. Obviously, this is, you know, see-through now. So I'm going to black out this, you know, the back here where the wood is unfinished. I'm just going to paint it black, essentially. And then that gap you see in there is actually the gap for the mat board, which holds the glass in. So I know it seems kind of technical, but all that so that I could still read his cool note to me. So that's the way Gerald's is going. One kind of hiccup with this is I have plenty of glass, but I don't have glass big enough to do this piece. So I got to order a piece of glass for this painting so that, you know, it has the UV glass like my other paintings. So UV glass is great. Like this, because unless you really hold it at the right angle, you can't even tell there's glass on it, which is beautiful. So I want that for Gerald's painting too. All right, so that's that. So that's Framing World. Thank you for hanging in there for me for that. Before we start painting, last week I mentioned that I had got my Grex back up and running after it took a digger, and I broke the back of it. So I want to show you something real quick on this though, because I've been using this a lot. Not in this setup. This is a 0.2 setup, which is a real small detail type, nozzle and needle for this. So this is more detailed, but I've been using the fan cap a lot in this. So I want to show you real quick how that works, because this is one of the few brushes that actually does this. Could be the only conversion brush like this. No. I think the Talon. I think maybe the Talon from Pache also has a fan cap. But this one is really cool, the way it works. So in here is a 0.2, but you can purchase the kit to put the fan cap on. So I'm going to swap it out so you can kind of see how easy it is. But before I do that, let me grab a piece of paper, because I'll show you the difference in spray too. So this is just a piece of white paper. Let me grab... Well, let me grab just grab some black here. Okay. So it's basically works like a 0.2 millimeter brush. Oh, I got a piece of junk in there. Hold on one second. Got a piece of booger in there. There we go. Out. Yeah, so basically just regular 0.2 millimeter brush. So it's really light, really controlled fade. Yeah, really, just kind of detail oriented. So let me clear that out real quick. But what's nice about this brush, that fan cap, hang on one second, clear that out. So with the fan cap, normally you get this round spray pattern, but this fan cap works more like a spray gun. I'll show you this real quick. Okay. So this is obviously comes with all the wrenches for it. There we go. Yeah, thanks, Brian. So yeah, the 0.5 for the Talon, but this one uses the 0.3, which is a little bit finer. So it has some cool applications. That back in there. This was actually the part I broke in here, this little needle guide. So what happened was the needle wasn't in the brush. I was actually doing what I'm about to do now and swapping things out. So the brush was like this. I went up to get the kit. I didn't realize the hose was wrapped around my leg, and I pulled it off the stand, and it went straight down here and ended up splitting this. Actually splitting the end of this, the needle, the chuck just kind of like blasted it. So it's unfortunate, but it was great. I ordered the wrong part, which was funny. Not really funny, but it was It's kind of funny. But I got the right one in eventually. So nozzle cap comes off, needle comes out, because it uses a different needle and nozzle. So that's the 0.2 millimeter nozzle. I'm trying to keep these separate so I don't lose it. Okay. And then I need, where'd it go? My little wrench. So it comes with this handy dandy wrench, which removes the nozzle. And at first when I thought the nozzle, for a second I thought the nozzle was just that front part, but actually it's got pretty big threads on it. So it's this whole thing here. Which is nice because, it's got heavy threads on it. So unlike some of the threaded nozzles, this brush, it's less of a chance that you're going to damage the nozzle, by stripping it or breaking it off. So, Tony, what's going on? All right, so that's basically what you do to take it apart to this point. Then, the second I can't do this one hand, I had a 0.3 millimeter nozzle. Which by eye looks just like the 0.2, but I mean, you're talking it seems like an insignificant difference, but it does make a difference in the spray pattern quite a bit between 0.3 and 0.2. All right, so tighten that on there like that, and then so then you have the fan cap, which has the threads deep inside of it. See them in there? Can you see them in there? I don't know if it's focusing. There we go. So the threads are really pretty far inside. So you just tighten the lower collar down to make the seal and the air cap. And then this upper knurling will allow you to turn the fan pattern. So you could have it vertical or horizontal, which is just like a spray gun. Again, which is really kind of cool for an airbrush. Let me just line this up so I can see what I'm doing here. There we go. So we'll put it this way. There we go. All right, so that's the head of that with 0.3. And then Grex does you the courtesy of putting little into the needle. So 3 lines is 0.3. Did I really do that? Okay. Now, what you can also do, obviously, is hang on one second. I'm trying to get these out of the thing. You can also just use this as a 0.3 airbrush too. This is the kind of the crown cap, nozzle cap for the 0.3. All right, hang on one second. Spread that everywhere. There we go. Okay, so needle, where's my needle check? I launched that thing? I did. Okay, hang on one second. There it is. Okay, so needle check back on. Handle back on. Oops. One thing that takes me time to get used to is putting the handle back on with a little, grippy thing, because it forces it to not want to go on the way it should. There you go. Okay, so that's it. So that's as simple as it is. Now it's got a 0.3 set up with a fan cap. Let me grab some paint. Let's pick black. Un momento, I do this. A little bit of black. And actually, I'm going to leave this pretty heavy, too. Nice, Tim. Still makes me sick that one of the paintings in the Isabella Stewart Gardner heist back in the 80s was the Vermeer. So that's just all kinds of terrible. Okay. So I'll get some black in there. Lost my paper towel. There we go. And this time the hose is not attached to it, which is nice, so I don't end up blasting it everywhere. And I'm going to back you guys out a little bit. Oh, that would help. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So now you have this, see how it's basically vertical? So now you have this wide coverage out of a 0.3, but it still atomizes like a 0.3. So if you need to do like a bigger area, like for me, like the skies, but I still need that atomization that's really fine, this has been a blast to use. So this is the way that I'll eventually keep this brush set up the whole time. But it's really kind of cool. And then it's simple if, you're not working that way and you want to have it spray, have the fan spray vertical instead of horizontal. You just swap it around like this. And Brian's on. I forget how much the conversion kit is, but I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's terrible at all. But now it's basically like a spray gun, so it'll just spray out. I mean, and I'm about 2.5 inches off the surface, and that's a good 2-inch spray pattern right there. So for fades and things like that, where you still need really fine atomization, this thing's crazy. So there you go. So that's the Grex. I'm happy to have it back. I'm going to try not to drop it anymore. All right, so let's get to paint. So tonight, just getting some of the paint out of this. So yeah, here we go. All right, so tonight we are working on Wendy. Yeah, isn't that really neat, Wendy? So that's cool. So and like I said, because it puts it on so dry, because it puts it on, if I atomizes the paint so well, that's completely dry, just like a 0.3. So it's not like using a small spray gun where you can put it on real heavy and then have to wait. That goes on it has the same sheen as like just a 0.3 millimeter airbrush. So there we go. All right, so that's good. So there we go. If I missed anything, I'm sorry. Welcome everyone for hanging out, chilling on your Monday night. So again, this is where we're at with this. So what I did without you guys since the last time I painted this, I finished all the rocks in the front, and I'll zoom you guys in so you can see it close. I finished all the rocks in the front. This whole section over here was not finished, so I finished all the rocks over here, and also it's kind of like a like shrubs in here. So I finished all that too, and then I moved down into the water. So the order that I did this in, I did this blue strip in the middle first, and put all the waves in, and then I did the waves breaking on the opposite shore, did that, and then I started working on all these in the front. So that's where I'm at. And I'll put this down and zoom you guys in so you can see it a little bit better, get some of the glare off. Yeah, that's the thing, Wendy. I mean, it really does a great job at that. So this will give you a better idea of the detail that's kind of going on here. I gotta do a little bit more work, here and there, but you basically got the idea. So one of the things that I think I worked on this grass up here with you guys. So one of the things I added, you can see the really light, like little dots that are on there. That was kind of the last step for this, kind of November-y grass area. That was it. So then, I got all the rocks in, and this is that shrub section. It's all like, I don't know what it is. It's very red, rusty color. So, Polly, what's going on, man? Gosh, dude. Seriously, I'm glad you're okay, but damn, brother. Holy smoke. Neil, what's happening? So this is all the shrubs, and I finished these rocks, and now you get a better idea with the water too. So the water, I think I've done water with you guys, but it's basically the same kind of concept that I usually do my water with. With the Maine coast, the water doesn't, I mean, it's more of a ultramarine blue, more of a blue violet than some of the other, southern beaches, which is more of a greenish blue. But there is green in here too, especially in these waves that crash over. So what we're going to be doing tonight is just kind of working in this section. I'm going to have to do some of the rock because I paint from the background to the foreground because it's easier to, cover stuff. So that's it. Chris, what's going on? Tom. I know, right? Tom, I fit right in here. When my Patriots stuff, they love me here in Pittsburgh country. We're in Northeast Ohio, so yeah, I'm right in the middle of Steeler and Brown country. So yeah, I have a lot of friends. It's good. Oh, there it is, right there. Okay, all right. So let's get going. I'll grab my tablet, which I lost. There it is. Turn this on so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. And I'll show you that. Well, I'll show you this real quick too. Zoom out. So that's the reference that I took, and I took this photo last Thanksgiving. So that's what we're going for. Yeah, Tim. Product placement. All right. That's that. Let's get you guys back in close. Basically, what I just left off with, these little spots, these little, basically where the water is really crashing. That was the last thing I did here. And I just used, basically turn the air pressure way down and use that same spatter technique that I used on the, I'll use it all the time, but the Art Johnson painting had it in it too. So that puts these bright white dots everywhere. It just works better than painting them by hand. One, you can put them in faster, plus the droplet of paint is brighter than what the paintbrush can do. So, Mac, what's happening? You saved your pad? Oh, Paulie, that's amazing. Paul, I can't believe what's going on out there. For you, it's, when I saw what happened to you, it really hit home, because you see all these news stories, and it's like, wow, that's terrible, that's terrible. When you see something like that happen to someone it just puts a whole different spin on it, and it was just incredible. So, like I said, I'm very glad you're okay. I'm hoping that we'll be able to help you out in whatever way you need help. So, but yeah, glad you're okay. Jerry, what's happening, Jerry? I sent everything. Everything went out today. So if you're waiting on anything from me, I'm back in the shop, so I sent everything out today. So Jerry, yeah, your painting is on the way. So Jerry, that's the nicest $3 painting you're ever gonna own right there. So that's the beauty of it. I hope that's the way it works. I hope, people throw $5 at those raffles. I hope 1,000 tickets sell. They'll make me happy. They'll make you guys happy. All right, let me get to it. Talking too much again. All right. I'm going to switch this over here so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right, so I based in all this, the whole basically underpainting, and these rocks too, the same thing I painted this in. I painted these in as well. So, so yeah, basically this is just like a, just kind of blocking it in kind of thing. Yeah, no doubt, Polly. But, when you're ready, at least that's something I can, help with. So, all right. So I've got, basically what I did was, you see these different kind of, well, jumping back to the basic thing when I started this whole thing. This whole area, actually all the water was this light blue color first. I just painted the whole thing in that blue color, and that was the base blue color. And then what I did was I basically picked the darkest areas and put those in. And those, see them in here, like that one there, and this one here, and this down here, and that one there. So those ended up becoming these dark areas like this in here. So it acts like kind of like a road map. Wherever the rocks pop through, those got put in. And then the final thing, see this kind of greenish, light greenish blue color, like here and here? That becomes this right here. See that same color in there? So I think about it in layers from, again, back to front. The deepest things are the first thing I paint, and then the final thing is whatever's on the outside. And that makes it a whole lot easier to kind of digest this whole big mess when you're trying to figure it out. It gives you kind of a roadmap and helps me kind of keep things, in order. So at this point here, I'm really down to the white, the detail and the fuzz and everything. So let's do it. It's actually kind of relaxing for me because it's just kind of repetitive. But if you guys are drinking or enjoying other recreational stuff, it would probably be more exciting. So this is just straight white. And thanks to Createx. I don't know. I didn't even know this color was available, but I just found it and I love it. So this is Detail Flat Opaque White. It's basically everything I want from a paint and a white paint. So I normally use, you can't read it because I actually do use it. I use the Wicked Opaque White a lot because I love that it's opaque. But what's nice is the Detail Flat, the pigments are ground finer, so it sprays better, but it's still opaque. So anyway, that's what I'm talking about. And Wendy's eating cake. Wendy, I hope you brought enough for the class. That's all I got to say about that. Normally what I do is where this, this basically the waves are coming, or the fuzz is coming across this rock, I would have painted this rock first, so I wouldn't have to do it twice. But for you guys, I'm just going to kind of wing it. And there's the blue, the light blue in here too, which is kind of fun. And then from there, it's, a lot of it is just kind of painting what you see, because it's easy with something like this, with a real repetitive type painting stroke, to just kind of like, once you do a little bit of it, you just do it everywhere, and then all of a sudden you have like, a pattern that looks like a sweater, which is not really good. So half of it is painting what you see, stopping and, kind of looking back at the reference and kind of trying to figure out, or just, really, like I said, painting what you see. But the other part of it is also just kind of understanding the shapes there, because those shapes will give you, if you understand that this is like a big cylinder here, when you're painting it, you'll get that feeling, and that's, that's kind of what we want. All right. Gerald, are you just getting here? Because I may have to take a break again. I know I just started painting, but I wanted to show Gerald the progress. So I will do that. Gerald, if you're going to be here for a few minutes, I'll do a little bit of paint, and then I'll grab your painting again. So the paintbrush, it's weird. The paintbrush, generally the way I use it, will put the paint on not as opaque as the airbrush. I know that sounds weird, but when I go in at the end and show you how I brighten this up, it's the airbrush that really does that, which is kind of cool. You could do other stuff too, like little adjustments and things like that. All right, so this comes off of here, like that. And again, I'm using the reference, but just more as a guide, to kind of get a feel for what's going on. Obviously, I'm not putting every wave in exactly where it is in the reference photo. That is not what I'm going for. But like I said, it's important to kind of paint what you see, because all this is in perspective too. All this stuff here is obviously much closer than this stuff. So if I just kind of do the same pattern that I did up here, this won't feel like it's closer to you. So, and these rocks aren't done yet either. They're just blocked in. But so normally, like I said, I would have done these rocks first, so I wouldn't have to redo this. But it'll be fun. So all I'll have to do is really kind of make adjustments to that in the end. All right, so I got that. This is going through here. Same thing. What I might do is, like I usually do, is I would do this white over this whole area, but that whole area would probably, there's a good, just to do the white here would probably take about 2 hours. An hour and 45 minutes to get all of that in. So what I'll do is I'll just concentrate maybe on this section here to kind of give you a feel for what's going on there. There you go. Thanks, Paul. Oh, you know what that is? That's funny. From underneath? Because I still have glue all over my fingers. From working with the frames today. I got everything all over my fingers. There we go. So it depends, Tim. So yeah, it's kind of a balance point for me. Well, especially for this. it's so organic anyway. I'm more my number one job, or what I think about most with this stuff, is that you know the perspective, that change in perspective. So because that and getting the color right to start will really give a lot of that feeling of depth that the paintings have. So working with the negative shapes works really well once you lock in those other things. And then for this, it's so organic that you can make up a lot. You don't have to. I don't really have to concentrate too much on getting everything in the exact spot. I mean, some little things I do, and I'll show you a couple of those. So some of the waves in here, like this thing here, and obviously this roll and all that. I really wanted to get that in just the way it was. But all this stuff in here, as long as I get these big shapes, that's really what I kind of concentrate on first. So, Mr. Anderson. Okay. So I'll get to the airbrush in a second here. So it is kind of bouncing back and forth, but show you where that happens. Last week was new brush week too, so I have a couple of new Winsor Newton zeros, which makes me happy. This is all in shadow, but that's okay, because we'll get to that in a second too. So this little wave right here is one of those waves that I was just kind of, no, I'm sorry, this one right here is one of the ones I was kind of talking about, and I'll show you why in a second. It's like a little star of the painting in a way, and it's subtle and it's small, but it makes a difference, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so once I get the area kind of blocked in with the white. No dodgy tips on the new brushes. No, not at all. Yeah, this is a great brush. So, and I used for the bigger areas, for like this. I have some bigger ones. This is a size 1. The 1 is what I use to kind of block in all this. Do all that. Marie, what's going on? All right. So cheers to that. Okay, so airbrush time. So what you're still seeing is that base blue color under there. But what I want to do is, I need an airbrush. That would help. No, not that brush. That brush. Okay. Oh, Wendy. Jackson Art. Oh, that's cool. All right, so let me, so first thing I'm going to do is, so that blue is electric blue, which isn't going to really work. So what I want to do is I want to get a little bit of a darker blue to kind of like start messing around with those deeper areas. And I can't do this first. No, I should, if I do what I just told you guys I do, work from the back to the front, I should have been able to do this first. But I really can't because I don't really know exactly where they're going to go. So once I put the white in like that, now I know where they're going to go. So I have a, this is impossible for you to see here, but it's this is, I'll grab it for you. This is Detail Blue Violet, which is a great color. It is very blue violet. One of my favorite sky colors too. And then a touch of jet black. All right. So with this, now what I can do is I can start going back in to some of these smaller areas. And the pressure's too low because I was stippling with this a little while ago. There we go. Okay. So what I can do is I can start going into some of these smaller areas, and I can put those, basically adjust the color to what it should be. But what's nice about this, instead of just putting a big blue, dark blue streak in here like down here, this allows me to kind of draw with it as well. So it's not just like this big blue field. I'm able to really go in and adjust like the small areas, and you get a different like kind of feel in each one of those little areas. So this, you know, and this brush is a beast. This brush can do stuff like this, which is nice. I mean, this brush has as much control as some of the, you know, some of the paint brushes that I use, which is great. And I don't have to worry about covering any of the white. Like if I go over the white, because this isn't really the final bit of white. It's just, again, it's kind of like a little mini roadmap for me to know where I'm going. Now with this color too, this is a little bit too dark, but I remember I said that little guy right there was kind of like the star. So what happens there is there's a shadow where this peak, where this wave is. So by putting that little guy in, it just adds a lot more interest to that little wave. It makes it more of a little mountaintop, you know, kind of peak. So that adds a lot to it, you know, and that's kind of what happens. So this color is you know, kind of mixed in all over the place in this section. Now obviously, or if I hadn't put in that base blue, it would just be a lot longer process to kind of get this to work, because I'd have to paint all the blue first, you know, the light blue first. So hopefully that makes sense. You guys are talking about cake. What are you doing to me? Dave-O, what's happening? Mr. Voss. If I missed anyone. All right, so you get that. I'm going to keep going with that in a second, but since Gerald's here, and I know Gerald's a busy guy, I want to show him his so far where we're at with this, so you guys get to kind of look at it again. You guys, I just won't do the whole super long description, but Gerald, here's where we're at with this right now. I'm really excited. So this is Honduras mahogany with it's basically the oil that they put on gun stocks. True Oil makes it, and I've fallen in love with this finish, because you basically just, you know, brush it on, steel wool it, and then wait 24 hours and rinse and repeat. Just keep doing it over and over again until you get this kind of finish, which is amazing. So it's got the sand in the background, and then Gerald's painting will be there. But the coolest part about this is because I did the back on Lexan, you will be able to see Gerald's awesome note to me. So that's it. And I picked you can't see it, but that's a brass screw that's holding it in. So like I said earlier, I'm going to black out the wood part of the edge, so it'll be black around the edge, and then the gap will be filled by the mat that holds in the glass. But there you go. That's what it looks like. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, so this painting, unnatural light does not do this thing justice, but you can't even begin. Like, as I get closer and closer, look at the calendar. It's got stuff everywhere on this. Plus, I mean, I'm showing you guys the detail, but just the panel itself, the ground panel itself, and the sparkle in the paints and the candies, and the way that this whole thing moves in the sunlight, this is insane. So I'm really happy. So I just got to get glass for it and finish wiring it up, and that is my Gerald painting. So I have a place for this too. I can't wait to hang it. So that is how it came out. So yeah. Well, that's how it's coming out. Still got a little ways to go. All right, back to it. Yeah, isn't that something, Wendy? Marge. Oh, I thought I lost the painting. I know. Sun's just about set, so that would be I'll have to see if I can take pictures once it's done. I will take pictures once it's done. All right. Digital drinks, nice. All right, so back to this. So the other thing I got to do too, like the light green areas, I can start working around that too, because there's white on top of that. But now that I know kind of where I'm going, I kind of fill in the gaps where they need to be. This whole section in here is white, but down here it's actually down here is more green, so I'm going to wait on that too. So this lighthouse in Maine is one of the more popular. Well, they're all popular, but everyone knows Nubble Light. It's just it's really easy to get to. You can't you can't, this, the little island that's on looks like it's your right. Basically, there's just a short stretch of water between where you stand and then where the lighthouse is. But this you can't get to unless you're on a boat. So it's kind of neat. But it's typical Maine. You know, it's like there's no way you can swim here. Although, oh shoot, I forgot who was talking to me about scuba diving. But they got their certification off of Nubble Light, which is crazy because this is what it is. It's all just rocks and everything. Oh, thanks, Gerald. Yeah, I'm so psyched. Really am. All right. Good. Try not to work on this upper section too much, but there's a little bit more here because this upper section is pretty much done right now. So I don't want to mess around with it too much. I mean, sometimes you see something that needs to be fixed, but this section in here is really dark. And that's good. Pear moonshine. Ooh, and peanut butter and cake. Guys are killing me. So I'm pretty excited. I have a friend of Marge's is an electrician, and he's coming in tomorrow to add a bunch of outlets here, and you know that'll be like the final thing to kind of be set up here, which is exciting for me. So it'll be really nice. This section down here is almost all foam, but there is a section right here that pokes through, so I'm just going to kind of block it in now. So right now, normally my computer's near me, but right now it's in a different spot, so it'll be nice to kind of have everything kind of pulled back together and that kind of thing. Devil's lettuce, nice. All right. So once I'm happy with pretty much where things are going with that, which looks pretty good. Yeah, it does. So now I can go back in with the white and then pull out any highlights that kind of got bumped around. So like here, this is that one little wave you want to pay attention to. The one behind it here too. Now the light is coming from this direction too. So again, this is a balance of painting what you see, and then also trying to understand the shapes that are underneath all that. And that's really what helps to give this whole little tiny painting a lot of depth. If I just kind of went in and did random patterns, again, it would look like, a bad Christmas sweater or something. But by keeping the light on the the sides of these little wavelets where they actually should be, it gives those little waves a lot of form. I am in the basement, but you know what? I am usually in the basement. It is where I'm most comfortable. So when I lived in Massachusetts for a while, my studio was in the basement, and then I upgraded to the Boston studio, but even the Boston studio had no windows, so I felt like I was in the basement. So Marge was kind enough to give me a bunch of space down in her basement, and it's a nice place. I really like it. She let me take over, so it became like the the art man cave. Marge has a studio upstairs, which is really really nice too. So, yes, superhero lair. That's it. Yes, I like to think of it as like my underground lair with frickin' lasers. Yeah, it's funny, Oh gosh. Well, you guys know during the whole pandemic, I didn't have the studio, so I was painting basically from my art desk or my computer desk at home. So for me, I don't know, it doesn't, yeah, it's nice to have a nice space, but for me, it doesn't matter as long as I can just paint, you know? Like, I'm never going to let the space determine what I get done. That's never going to happen. So, and again, it's all, hold on. I'll show you what I'm doing, and that way it'll make more sense. So you think about it like a pyramid, the wave. So if the light's coming from this side, which it is, so what I'm thinking of when I'm doing these waves is anything obviously hitting the side of the pyramid would be lighter than this, even though I didn't do it that way. Sorry. So yeah, so the shadow side of the wave would be like that. So that's what I'm thinking of everywhere along this thing as I'm putting these in. So see, like that, there's your little pyramid. So I think about that as I'm doing this, and I keep that in the back of my head as I'm kind of going across this whole thing. And it seems like crazy, nitpicky, insane stuff, but seriously, it's like when I did the all that Art Johnson stuff with the shingles. If you pay attention to those little details across the whole thing, it's the same thing. It's that repetition and variation, but by repeating something that adds form to all these little waves and bumps, when you back up, the whole thing looks the way it should look. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I don't know. Maston, what's going on, man? Mr. Garcia. So yes, so Chris is the man. Chris, I can't show you the New York painting yet because it's actually drying right now. But I crushed up all the asphalt that you sent from Fifth Avenue. It is beyond belief. So I gold leafed the back panel for that painting, crushed up the asphalt, glued it all in place, and now I got to wait till tomorrow before I can really move it. But I promise once I get it all framed up, I'll post it. But I'm very excited for that. That one I was telling Marge today, that painting and the Death of a Salesman painting have moved into the category of well, technically they're for sale. Someone's going to have to prove to me that they want it more than I do, because those two paintings really, I'm really happy with them, and especially the Boston painting has a lot of meaning to me. But yeah, that New York painting, the New York painting has a lot of meaning too, because my daughter took the photo and that. But I think the New York painting overall, that I talk about hinge paintings a lot when, kind of talking about, where my career is and where the paintings are going. And the hinge paintings are those paintings that I can look back at that something changed, or, I pulled off something that I probably, it was probably harder than I thought it was going to be. So examples of that are, if you watch Mike Learn's videos, he has a painting of a red biplane that I did. That's a hinge painting for me, because a lot changed when I did that painting. The Boston painting on a razor blade, that was a hinge painting. So this New York painting is a hinge painting too. The amount of detail that ended up in that in the end, and that it kind of got the way that it was, is cool. So those are the kind of paintings that I like to hold on to. And of course, almost all of them that I just named, I don't have anymore. They were sold or whatever. But, oh, Ego, have a good one, buddy. Bleh, I can't talk. Have a good one, buddy. So yeah, so we'll see. Like I said, I think for the New York painting, for Through Emily's Eyes, again, someone's going to have to prove to me that they want that painting more than I do. And that's a Keith Hansen saying, which I always loved, because it really puts it into perspective. It's like, okay, that's, it's nice to have paintings that, that you really, like, you really overcame something, which is good. So, and then the Boston painting is just, that's a story about turning a shitty situation around, and that kind of thing. And that's pretty personal. So, I mean, well, if someone came to me and said, I love that painting, I have to have it. You know, that's why I paint, you know, that I can tell those stories and I can pass them on. So, plus, you know, trying to do the right thing and help Marge keep the lights on. So, it's a good thing. Oh yeah, so Tim, if I'm missing stuff, but yeah, check out Tim on Wednesday nights on YouTube. Mike Learn, if you haven't already subscribed, I watched his newest installment of Between the Skulls, his interviews. They are excellent. So Mike is going to go full court press on his YouTube channel, so he's definitely worth checking out. But there are so many of them, Nubs tomorrow night, and I talk about them all the time. So yeah, so check out Tim on Wednesday nights. And Jerry, I didn't get to finish watching your video too, but Jerry's got some great videos too. So, all right, so that's the white. I've been yakking and painting. So now the other thing I do with the paintbrush at this point is I'll kind of fill in any of the gaps with the darker color too. So that same color that I airbrushed with, that marine blue black mix. That's too dark, but that's okay. Okay. So with that same, you know, dark blue black mix, I can add anything that I might have missed. Little details here, or any spider webs that kind of popped up from either the darker color or the lighter color. All around the rocks here, there's more of that color. But you get the idea. Even the back side of this wave has a bunch of stuff in it. Hey Steve, what's happening? Like that. And there's some stuff going on here too. These rocks I gotta deal with after. So I won't go too far into that. All right, that's good. I got white all over me. There we go. Oh yeah, Lee, we gotta definitely have more UK friendly feeds. Tim's is late for even me. All right. So what do I got in here? All right, so I still have the dark in here, so I'll use that a little bit, especially with these couple that I added. That's good. Okay, so the last step is, or one of the last steps, same thing with the, you know, it's just back and forth. I'm going to zoom you in here to kind of show you what I'm doing here. You guys are really in close. So wherever there was a, like in here, where I put these, you know, the blue, dark blue, just palette this out a little bit because I don't need this to be too... But what I can, that's not enough. Hold on. Ooh, here we go. So what I can do by going back over with the white, I can kind of cut up those little paintbrush strokes that I did. And it's the same kind of thing with the, you know, the real miniature stuff that I do, the really tiny stuff. By going back in and cutting in those other, like the dark strokes with this white, I can make those dark strokes even smaller than I could have painted them in one shot. So same thing up here where the airbrush is kind of like fuzzy there. I can go back in and kind of add more texture to that. Again, I'm not going to do down here because this rock is actually, I got to finish painting it before I go on. All right. So Ian's in the UK, and Lee too. So have you guys been running over to the site to buy raffle tickets? Is that what's been going on? Thank you. I appreciate it. Speaking of UK jets and stuff, that's actually, even though the Brits had a lot to do with that jet and the Italians, that is the West German Tornado in that picture. All right. So what I do is I cleaned out the airbrush, nice and shiny. Nice apple moonshine. I still have some of that left too. So cheers to that. I'm gonna back you out because you don't need to be that close for this. So next thing is the white. So what I did was I mixed up. Well, you can't see because it's so close. I did mix up some basically pre-reduced detail flat opaque white. I didn't add any 40-30 to this because basically when you don't add 40-30, the paint lasts longer. You can leave it in these bottles for a while. So a couple drops of this. Okay. I know. Well, I keep forgetting to finish it off. Plus, there's always so many things to cheer with. So this may need to actually be thickened up a little bit. We'll see how it works. Okay. So with the airbrush now, and I'll do that spatter thing in here too at the end. But with the airbrush now, like especially in this section here, I can add those, basically the light that's coming from the right-hand side. So I can go in and just pull that back out. As soon as, yeah, this probably should be a little bit thicker, but this will work. Down in here too, there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of that going on down here in front of this rock, but I'll put some of it in now. So anywhere else where the highlights need to be brighter, I can just kind of like pop those out. I obviously don't want to do this everywhere because that defeats the purpose. Again, you want that repetition, but you also want that variation. I don't know if you want that. I do. So I love it. I try not to do that. It's like, this is the way you should paint. All right, so what I can also do with this too, let me find a good spot for this. Like right here. I don't know if you'd see that. Hopefully you can see that. This spot here is very, very bright blue. I'm sorry about my paint-covered fingers. That spot right there is very blue. So this white can also be used to kind of like go in and kind of soften that blue as well. So if there's a spot that's too blue, too electric blue, I can go back in and straighten that out. Okay, last step. Actually, I'll leave you guys close because you'll see it better when you do this. So what I do is I turn the pressure way down. Like way down. Hold on. Ooh, I can show you right here before I do it. There. So, when we turn the pressure way down, I think I showed you this on Art Johnson. First of all, this brush, this is like 4 pounds of pressure right now. So this brush will actually airbrush at 4 pounds of pressure. Createx, which is insane. But anyway, so I want this at about 1/2 pound of pressure because I want the airbrush not to be able to atomize the paint anymore. I want it to be able to spit like it's doing there. So see those little dots that it's spitting out? So that's super controlled. I can like really get really close and just put a few dots in. So that's what I'm going to do like in here for that spray. Now there isn't as much going on down in here as there was up here, but you'll get the idea. So watch these dark blue spots. You'll see kind of the dots start to appear. Now these are, because this paint is fairly, well, it's very reduced, those little dots are going to kind of like immediately blend in. They're just very transparent. So you just kind of keep putting them in until you get the desired effect, if you know what I mean. So there you go. That's it. So I'm going to back you guys out because you guys see the abstract wave thing here. But as I back you guys out, so you're at about, oh, I don't know, 2-3 inches away. So as I back you guys out to the point of like viewing this thing for real, so even right now you're only about 6 inches away. So all that now takes on a whole different look. It's basically, you basically see all that form, and there's that little star wave right there to kind of add that interest. And that's how it works. So there you go. So what do you think? Yeah? No? Yeah? No? Thanks, Wendy. So, what time is it? It's only 7 o'clock. If you guys want, basically it's rinse and repeat as I go along. I'll start messing around with the rocks because I got to get that done before I move down into this section. That's really actually what I wanted to show you guys. But if you guys are still into it, I can start knocking out that rock because these 2 rocks are the next to kind of get done. So. Yeah, Steve, I don't know. I'm lucky. My eyes are still really good up close. But, a day like today, well, not really today. Today was kind of a good mix of painting and doing other things like framing and stuff. But on a day where I'm just going 8 to 10 hours painting, it does take its toll. It's the best way to describe it is I'm just tired, and it isn't physical tired. It's my eyes feel like when you're really tired and your eyes are like ready to fall out of your head. It's that kind of feeling. So. Yeah. Bill, what's going on? All right, so yeah, so if you guys are up for it, I'm going to keep going. If you guys want to hang out, that'd be awesome. I mean, of course, I'm going to have to open another beer for this, but what could go wrong? So I will leave this, maybe leave this like this. I don't know. Okay, good, Trace. I'm in. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so for the rock, so again, it's easier for me to go in order because if I do all this work on the water and then have to do all the work on the rock, I'll have to go in and do that, basically where the water crosses over the rock again. But it's not a huge deal. But stuff like, why do it twice, So that, like all that spattering, you can't see it because you're too far away. But if I bring you in, all those little white spatters on the rocks, those are going to get blown out when I do the rock. So I'll have to go and put them back in. But again, it's not a huge deal. All right, so for this rock here, it's actually pretty easy because most of this rock is in the shadow of this big wave that's about to wipe it out. Marge, it's awesome. All right, so wow, this is good. Cheers number 2 is also by Brewdog, but this is the Punk IPA, which is also a good one. I've been trying to hit as many local breweries as I can, or beers, and I'm still dealing with all the COVID stuff, so that's not happening. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah, this is it. This is what I'm doing. So, Greg, what's going on, man? Yeah, so Greg, definitely this one will. When I'm done, this will be definitely the next print that's up, and this one will be, my first time shipping it back to Massachusetts, the painting. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm hoping everything will work out okay. But yes, this one will be prints for sure. No, oh, Masson, it's a great question. No, usually I don't. Usually everything's my method is more additive than subtractive. I have tried scratching, and in some instances it works well for me, but I'm just so ingrained in that addition type of painting where if I have to do something, I just paint it in, that I don't scratch really at all. And I should, because it's a great technique, and especially on things like hair and certain textures and stuff. But yeah, I don't really do it. And again, it's not because it's not something that I think is worth it. It's just something I never really do. So what else did I miss? Anything good? Okay. All right, so this rock here. So basically, I've got the base color in that dark kind of brownish color. So what I got to do is I got to basically just put in the highlights. And this rock is easier than the other ones because it's behind this big wave here. It's about to smash into it. So Josh, man, talk about talent too. Josh, I'm gonna need some more car pictures soon. Josh is an amazing, amazing photographer. So I'm trying to think. A couple of my paintings. The couple of my paintings were done from Josh Sweeney photographs, which is pretty cool. The alchemy painting, the one of the Morgan three-wheeler, that was one of Josh's, even though it looks completely different than his photo, but still that was one of his photos. And I have a gosh, if I ever get back to it, I have a McLaren painting that I started a while ago that was one of Josh's paintings as well. So thank you, sir. All right, so basically it's the same brown color, this burnt umber color with black, but I just start going in and basically adding anywhere where the light is kind of hitting this rock. And again, this is nice. It's fun because it's subtle on this rock because it's almost all in shadow, but makes it pretty cool to do. So there are two. Light again is coming from this side, so the light that's filtering through on this side is that brownish color. On the other side it's going to be blue. I'll show you that in a second. And again, at this point I'm just blocking in stuff. So Dudettes do rock. Thanks, Maston. That means a lot. I appreciate that. All right, so for the other side of that, yes, if Marge didn't have to work late, she would also be representing the amazing female artists as well. Okay, so this is a very similar color to the water, which makes a lot of sense because part of it is the water, but also part of it is the secondary reflection off of the water on the rocks. So I'll put some of these in here. This is a great color for also bridging the gap between the rock and the water as well. So a couple of these in here. And then, really easy. No, no. Chris, that's okay. I like food talk. Food talk is good. And actually, I think, was it Martha Stewart or was that Julia Child that got sauced all the time? I don't want to make up stories. So what I have here is the same dark color now. And then what I end up doing is going back in and putting in all the little texture details that are on this rock here. Winsor Newton would probably want to shoot me for doing this because this brush, again, this is a watercolor brush, not set up for acrylic paints, but the way I use them, it's the only way to go for me. So unfortunately, they probably, the technicians and the craftsmen that make these brushes would probably cringe if they saw what I do with them. So, okay, so a little bit of dots. So actually, this is going to work out well. I thought this was going to be crazy, and I'd have to wipe out all these little stuff on the, like all the little splashes that I did before, but I'm not going to have to do that. And then there's one other thing I got to do to these little highlights back here, now that I've put those in. Yes, it was the one for the food and one for her, I think. Which is okay by me. Oh, that blue dried out. That's too bad. Okay, hold on. I'm just mixing here. Hold on. Okay, so now I got that light blue. And I actually have to go lighter than that too. So there are highlights basically where the rock is wet back here. Oh no, see, that sucks. Sometimes you can do that. So how to fix that? Let me put the details in that I should have done before I screwed it all up. So what happened there was this painting is on a magnet, but the magnet isn't quite as big as the painting. So when I pressed down on the painting, I popped it up and jammed it into the painting, but it's an easy fix. So anyway, so there are the highlights that are on the rocks on the water. Beer is good. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, that mistake was not beer though. So okay, so go back in and get rid of that. I can leave some of it because it's there anyway. But that's it. That's that rock. So now same thing. When I back this up, it's subtle, but you get the idea. So you can start to see the light that's kind of popping through. These rocks here are much more in the light, so they're going to take a little bit more work. But again, I'm going to keep rolling for as long as you guys want me to do this. So first thing I'm going to do with this rock is I blocked it in like this, basically just put an underpainting in, but I got to change the light face of this rock to be more like the tone that it's ultimately going to be now. So I put aside the paintbrush. I have white in here, which will be good. So I need burnt umber again, since that's the base color of all this stuff. Bunch of reducer. Mr. Monig, what's going on, my friend? I have a package showing up from you guys tomorrow. Very excited. I love New Toy Day. All right. So that's going to be a good color to start. It's kind of a sandy. It's kind of a sandy color. Really shouldn't do this over the painting, but seriously, what could go wrong? All right. Yeah, and also Dave Monig's on from Coast, so you got to make sure you check out Live at 5. Always great information there. And like I said, it's always fun because you watch his feed and then you end up buying all kinds of new stuff. So works out for everyone. Always new toys. All right. So there's that kind of sandy color, and I lost my ref again. Okay. So this is... Let's see where I'm at here. Okay. So basically what I got to do is I got to kind of change the color of this. Now, I could use the original copy that I used to paint this in, but again, for what I'm doing and the way this particular brush works, I don't really even have to mask it. And there's a whole bunch of texture that goes on this after anyway. I'm still pumping on a lot of white here. Hold on. Let me darken this up a little bit. Indy, you have a great night. Thanks for coming by again. You're the best. I hate seeing you guys talking about food and I missed like half of it. I want to know what you guys are making or eating. It's not fair. Okay. So a little bit darker here. But not having a mask on this does two things. Basically, it saves time, which is nice because I don't have to mask it off and cut it out, or cut out a new mask because I lost the old one or whatever. But what it also does is, because I have to kind of take my time with this and not get paint everywhere, it also adds... Oh, you guys aren't close enough. Sorry about that. It also adds... See how it's starting to like have like texture to it? It's like it's not even. If I had a mask cut out for this, I just spray this color in and it would be even and smooth like a countertop again. And I obviously don't want that. So it's kind of a bonus. What I do have to be careful of is near the edges. I don't want to get this color on all that white sea spray up top. But that is looking better. And I don't have to worry about the water down below because I haven't done that yet. Wendy, so that's an excellent question. So basically, an airbrush is, it atomizes a liquid into particles that are floating in the air. So you don't want to basically you don't want to breathe anything. I mean, there's non-toxic stuff. These Createx paints are non-toxic and non-flammable, but they're liquid plastic. So you don't want to get anything like this in your lungs. However, since I'm dealing with a 2-inch by 4-inch panel, and I'm like half an inch away from the surface for the most part, the particles don't. I mean, there so few get to where I am a foot away that yeah, I should wear a mask, but yeah, I work in such low volumes that it's not as crucial as it would be for someone spraying a bigger panel, or certainly using paint that is any kind of hazardous. So that's a great question. Moving the air around is also really important too. If you circulate the air a lot, then that's going to cut down on how much stuff gets into your lungs. But yeah, the other thing you'll find with a lot of the people that do live feeds and airbrush tutorials, they're not wearing a mask because you can't hear what they're saying. So that's the other practical application for that. All right, so the same thing happens with this rock down here. This color is on the same rock. So I'm going to take advantage of having the color in the brush and just kind of kill two birds with one stone. Oh, get it? Did you get that? Stone. It's a pun on the rocks. So, yeah, I'll be here all week. Stop anytime, really. All right, same thing in here. And I don't have to be careful at all because there's so much texture going on this in the end that I just got to basically tint that color to what it should be. Rebecca, what's going on? Yes, well, Ian, you have slightly different set of circumstances going on, so you should be wearing a mask. So I do have one. I have several right here. I have a respirator right behind me. Again, it does a lot of good sitting on the wall, but no, Chris. That's no. All right. So next thing I'm going to do, I'll concentrate on this rock here. This rock has I'll show it to you so you can kind of see what I'm seeing. See what I'm seeing? All right, so this is the rock that we're dealing with. So, yeah, Wendy, it depends on the particles. It depends on what you're spraying. Unfortunately, well, COVID completely unfortunately, but the N95 rated masks, the dust particles will take out a lot of the particles that we would normally breathe, depending on what you're airbrushing. Obviously, solvents and things like that, if you get into that, those gases can pass through an N95 mask. So yeah, I mean, I would suggest if you can get a good end, like Dave, actually, it's tough to get, well, I think they have some sizes left. There's a mask called an RZ mask. It has replaceable N95 filters in it, and it's very comfortable. It looks like, basically looks like the masks that everyone's wearing now. Kind of a wraparound thing that's really comfortable. So that might be a good option. And again, it's well-ventilated area is the way to go. If you have an N95 mask and great ventilation, you're not gonna breathe in much of anything, which is good. So. Yeah, when I started doing airbrushing, I used a lot of gouache, and I started getting into like the genuine colors, and I realized how fast that was a bad idea because airborne cadmium is not good for you. So yeah. All right, so what I got here is, see these like darker streaks and things like that. So I'm going to put those on first. Again, I think back to front. So that color right there underneath everything, that was a color I just sprayed in. But now I want to kind of get some of these darker areas in. If I can do that with the same color, I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. Oh, P100. Okay, good. Yeah, I think, and again, you definitely want to double check everything, especially with stuff like that. But yeah, whatever you can do to, keep your lungs in good shape is what you should be doing. Oh, so Wendy, no, the thing is just avoid any of the genuine colors, which, I mean, they're all super expensive, so you'd know what they were anyway. But anything with genuine colors like cadmium and cobalt and all that, you don't want to spray any of that at all, period. It's not worth it. Mostly because that stuff doesn't need your lungs to get into your system, so it can get in through your any of your pores, your eyes and things like that. So you just don't want to deal with any of that. And there are so many great alternatives to genuine colors anyway. You don't even need to. So yeah, you just don't want to spray anything like that. Maston, yes, actually, I didn't even mention that. So yes, on all the little 3x4 paintings, all these things here, I've been spraying UVLS satin clear on this UVLS satin clear, and it has been amazing. It has been awesome. So I'm going to use that a lot. The those filigree panels that I did with Scott's templates, I sprayed all those metal panels with the UVLS gloss, so that was kind of cool too. So yes, I'm going to be using that a lot. All right, so this color, let me get some of this in there. It's the same color, but it's got a lot more gray in it, a lot more black in it. So what I'm going to use for this color is to just start kind of, this is actually a lot darker than I thought it was going to be, but it'll still work. I'm just going to go easy with it. So for this, I'll start adding some of those other shapes that are going on, and also those streaks that are on the front of this. Probably could have been a little bit lighter, but it's not going to make too much of a difference. There we go. You get the idea. And since I have this color, it's actually not so much on this bottom rock. It is in the back, so I'll use it to kind of tone these shapes down. And again, I'm not worried about it's looking like it's gray on this darker color. I'm going to be painting all over that anyway, so I just want to get these lighter colors down to the right color. All right, so Wendy, that's a great question too. So yes, like I showed that Grex brush in the beginning, the nozzle and needle in that are a little bit too small to spray the UVLS clears the way that they recommend. They don't recommend anything smaller than a 0.5 millimeter fan cap. So if I wanted to use an airbrush, I would have to get like the Pache Talon, which has a 0.5 fan cap. But I just got from Coast an LPH80, which has a 1.2 millimeter nozzle. Then it's a mini spray gun. The thing is crazy. So that's what I've been using to do all of that. Hold on, I'm grabbing it. So this is a mini spray gun. So that's what I've been using to do all the UVLS, which has worked out great. So that's what's going on with that. But yes, if you had an airbrush with a big enough nozzle, you could definitely spray that stuff with an airbrush as well, which is a little bit different. Yeah, so Tim, I wasn't concerned about the clear reacting with the ink. What I was worried about was whether the clear would dissolve the pastel, and it didn't, which was good. So that was nice. But you have to go really, what I had to do is I had to go really light on the first coat, just to kind of dust it in, to kind of, not flood it out. So that's what happened. Yeah, see, the problem with the spray gun is you do need a place to spray that stuff, no matter what you're spraying, because that puts out a lot of material, and that stuff will be everywhere. If you spray that in your house, that stuff is, it's just the extra spray, the overspray would get everywhere. So yeah, you want to be set up for a spray gun or something like that. But for an airbrush, that's the other thing. Plus with the clear, even with an airbrush, or if you're spraying that clear on a bigger piece, that stuff is going to go everywhere. You just, in order to get it to evenly cover the way you're supposed to have it cover, there's a lot of material that doesn't adhere to the surface. It's just out. And again, that's not something you want. I mean, it's non-toxic and non-flammable and all that, but you don't want to be breathing that. It's just, just not a good thing. So outside is good if you're in a place with nice weather and not a lot of dust and dirt and that kind of thing. So that's, something to keep in mind there too. All right, so there's that darker color. So what I'll do, we have a little bit of time left, I'll start showing you some of the details. So at this point now, what I'd start doing is putting in some of those tighter details. And I do that because I want to keep jumping back and forth from the airbrush and the paintbrush. I don't want to do like all airbrush, then all paintbrush and be done. Because you'll see that when I'm done. So what I want to do is I want to jump back and forth. So I'll start putting in some of the details, and I'm not going to do the whole rock, but I'll give you an idea. So I start really putting in some of the texture there. I'll zoom you guys in, see what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly, Wendy. That's exactly it. Humidity is often a problem with things wanting to dry. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I wish there was an easy answer for that without, actually having some sort of spray booth. But it also boils down to how much you're going to be doing of that. Like for these panels, for me, it was much more economical, safe, and quality-wise to have these panels cleared by someone with with an auto body shop. So, or Keith Hansen, which he paints motorcycles. So, so it was just it was, even though I could do it, it just made so much more sense to pass this job off, the clearing job to to someone else. Now with the small 3x4, even this size panel, I mean they're small enough that I could do them, especially with the UVLS. I could do them here, but getting into solvent-based clears needs to be something different. So, all right, so you get the idea? Put in all this fun texture. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this corner here so you can kind of see the process, because there's a few steps to it, and I don't want to bore you. Again, this rock will take a while, but I don't want to have you guys watch me paint dots all night. The goal is to have this painting done by the end of the week and have it shipped out next week. That would be amazing. Because then the lead time on the prints is about 2 weeks, which is good because it gives me time to get all the packaging done. And so this should be hopefully available on the site sometime in October, maybe second or third week. Yeah, Wendy Varnish is a good example. Even with the spray cans, that stuff is nasty. All right. So, all right. Dots are good. All right, so that's that. So what I'm going to do next real quick is I'm going to clear this out. Oh, there he is. Mr. Fuchs. So, if you really want to torture yourself this week on Live at 5, I don't really know why. I mean, I'm assuming David Coast just ran out of all other options and had no one else to be on the Live at 5. So, or my guess is that Rod paid him as kind of a mercy move. But Rod Fuchs will be on as the guest for Live at 5 on Coast's Airbrush live feed on Wednesday. So you're going to want to check that out, and you're going to want to harass him and give him all kinds of problems. And ask him why he can't paint. And yes, and you're going to have to do all that. Because Mr. Fuchs is I mean, I know he tries, but he's terrible. He's a terrible human being. Happy anniversary too, Rod. God knows where you've been if you didn't hook up with that wonderful person that straightens out your life and makes your life worth living, and you probably end up in a gutter somewhere. Scamming people. Oh wait, you do that now. All right, so this is this is burnt umber. It's poop colored, very much like most of Rod's work. So so what I want to do with this, and this is really reduced. So this is too reduced. So it's like poop color, but after like Taco Bell night. I know that's probably too much. But Rod gets me all upset. Yeah, so Rod will be on live at 5 if you get a chance. Just look up Coast Airbrush. And Rod is the... basically, he's like Justin Bieber that Canada couldn't get rid of. So it's kind of like that. All right. So this is that burnt umber. So what I'm going to do now is I'm basically going to start putting in, well, I'll show you so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'll show you the reference again real quick. So see all that nice burnt umber brownish color around the outside edge, and it's also streaky in the middle? That's what I'm putting in now. So now I could have put that in first and then done the detail on top of it, but by doing it in this order, the airbrush work will start to kind of blend out some of that paintbrush work. It won't, it's very transparent, so it won't get rid of it, but it'll really start to blend it out a little bit. And that's really what I want, because I don't want to have simple artwork like Rod's. I want to have stuff that, you know, kind of makes people think instead of makes people vomit. I love you, Rod. All right, so let me drag some of this brown. Is he gone? Is Rod gone? All right, well, if he's gone. So if you haven't checked out Mr. Fuchs' artwork, and if he is still here, I deny saying any of this. If you haven't had a chance to check out Mr. Fuchs' artwork, his detail is off the chart. The amount of time, I don't know if he spends a lot of time on it or if it just looks like he spends a lot of time on it, but whatever it is, it's pretty amazing. So if Rod's still here, I just said all that so you go get me another beer. All right, so with this color too, jump back here. So where that overspray kind of started creeping out onto here, the lighter color, and turned it all gray, I can go back in with this color and just get rid of it real quick. I just want to be real careful not to get too close to the water up tops, like here. See how it kind of started fuzzing over? I'll show you how I fix that, though. It's really pretty straightforward. So there's that. Yes, he is teaching a class at the Art Circus. I think the class is remedial bubblegum chewing or something like that. Or was it an SAT prep class, I think? Something like that. Oh, no, it couldn't be that because that would involve math and words. So, yeah, that's not Rod. Ian, you have a great night, my friend. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple more things real quick, and then I'll let you guys get on with your Monday evening. So let me zip you back in real quick. So I've got all that, but see how that orange and all that airbrushing kind of started to kind of break up the paintbrush work I did? So now what I'm going to do is the same kind of deal. Let me get some more white out here. Quarter. That's how they say it in Ohio, Rod. I checked. Okay, so this is basically that lighter color again. And what I can do now is I can start going back in. I'm going to dry this out a bit. And as long as the brush is paletted the right way. So what I can start doing is come back in with this lighter color and start taking bites out of that darker color that I brushed in. You get the idea. So this would be everywhere. And it doesn't really matter that this color is going to be a lot more orange in the end. So I want it bright right now because I really want it to, kind of break up the darker paintbrush work that I did before. Because what I'm going to do is, let me get some more of this in just so I don't have to redo this 12 times. All right, so once that's like that, I'm going to move you guys out a bit. Give you guys a little more light. So what I do is I take the straight burnt umber now. So everything else has been mixed with something else, but this is straight burnt umber. Grab some reducer here. And burnt umber by itself is a really orangey kind of brown. I'll show you as soon as I get it mixed out because you can see it. So it's kind of a really orangey type burnt, kind of rusty orange color. So what I can do now on those really light spots that I just put in, I can go over it and tint them down to the orange color that they'll ultimately be. And I want to take this, I usually take this slow. Kind of just watch what it does. Because I don't have to, I don't have to hose it down. I can just kind of let it do what it's going to do. And then once it gets to the point where it's the right color and that right shade of orange, then I can stop. Like that. So when you're done, you get this really cool texture, but it doesn't look like, well, here's a good example. This spot here that I missed, see how that looks like a big paintbrush blob? I should have dug into that a little bit more and broken it up. Same thing here, but I can do that, or I'll put, water over it or something. How's that? Was that better, Rod? Water? So there we go. So that's it. So it's the same thing up here, just less of it. That's in the shadow, so you get a lot more of it. But that's what it's looking like. So this is where we're at right now with this. And if you want a painting like this, you have to come to like a real artist like me or someone else. If you want, something that doesn't look like anything worth buying, then you can certainly go to Rod's website. And I know, a lot of his purchases are done because people feel sorry for him. And that's cool too. It's like, I don't know. Someone's got to keep him going, I guess. But if you see Rod today, wish him and his lovely wife a happy anniversary. Well, yeah, Bill, you're on the good list. You're on the good list. So, oh man. So anyway, so this is where we're at. I'm hoping to have this painting done by the end of the week, and like I said, I will keep you guys up on where things are at with it. Hoping, like I said, really hoping by the middle of October this will be a print. So we'll see what we can do. And that is what I got. So you guys have been amazing. Thanks for hanging out. Check out Roderick on Live at 5 with Coast on Wednesday, and that would be awesome. Check out Bill's YouTube channel. He's got a lot of videos. Bill puts stuff up all the time. Mr. Kennedy. And Tim's is on tomorrow. No, sorry. Tim's is on, yeah. Well, I can't even think straight. Check out Tim Smith's YouTube channel too. PaintedGlyphs.com is his website, and he's got a lot of good stuff going on. And of course, we've talked about Dave. Go check out that. Nub's on tomorrow night. Hopefully Gerald gets his thing going again, but lots and lots of good stuff. So I'm going to call it here. I'm going to give my eyes a break. I will get back at it tomorrow. I'll post pictures as I go. And You guys are amazing. I love you so much. You guys make it all worth it, this Monday night thing. That's all I got. So, cool. All right, kids. Take care. I will catch up with you next Monday. And you guys have the most amazing week. All right, kids. Good night.